Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Preview Show. The moment we've all been waiting for. It's finally here. We've had to wait a week longer than we've ever waited before, but it's the Super Bowl later tonight, 11:30 UK time. Can't wait. But let's talk about what's going to happen. What are you excited? What have you got planned? Have you got any parties or anything? What are you doing?
No, I'm all pretty boring, I'm afraid. It's just going to be at home watching it, trying not to wake the wife up and all that. So, it's that's all it's going to be. And yeah, I mean, looking forward to it. Like, it should be a good game. Uh, Come on, the Bengals.
Oh, well, I'm having the annual Super Bowl party that we have every single year. All of the lads that are in the NFL group, most of them will be attending. So I think there's going to be about 10, 11, 12 of us, maybe something like that. We'll have pre-game snacks. We'll have halftime pizzas. There'll be plenty of beer and stuff. It's just a shame, isn't it, that the UK is so late on a Sunday because we can't get involved in. It's something that I'm sure all of us as NFL fans would want to celebrate it as big as we could.
Yeah, it is a shame that it's as late as it is. I mean, but it is, I was thinking about it earlier, actually. It's like, because of the time differences, it's quite early, isn't it, for LA and Vegas and all that sort of things. It's quite early in the afternoon for them. So I suppose really the only place really that's getting the best of it is probably sort of the New York region and that kind of thing at that sort of time. But yeah, I mean, it is a shame that it's so late. I know a lot of people kind of miss out on it because of that. But, I mean, I remember staying up for the Packers loss to the 49ers, and that was later than what this one's going to be. So, it's not so bad. I think had a quick look. I think they reckon the TV's all going to finish at about 3:30. So it's not mega late, but it's pretty late.
Yeah, it's something that we've all sort of acclimatized ourselves to throughout the
Yeah,
season.
you can see that there's this there. That's called the end of the season. That's what that's called.
So we'll all be looking forward to having waking up fresh on Monday mornings when the season finishes.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah, give it a couple of weeks, I might be okay. Yeah.
Well, let's get right into it then. Bengals versus Rams. It's at SoFi. I don't think that holds any too much home field advantage regarding fans and stuff. But it's such a good arena to hold the game. What are your thoughts?
I mean, you've known what I've been saying all year long. I'm very much in the Bengals camp. Um, I hope they win it. I said it for the Titans game where I was very much like, I think the Titans are going to win, but I hope the Bengals win. Then I said it for the Chiefs game. I think the Chiefs are going to win, but I hope the Bengals win. I, on paper, the Rams should probably win it, but I really hope the Bengals win it. So yeah, I mean, I think because of that, I'm very much in favour of the Bengals. I think they've had a great season and they've done really well, and I actually think that they do have a chance to win it. I think they can. When you actually look at, if you start matching up the two teams, I think the quarterbacks are pretty similar at the moment. I think there's not too much difference there. I know that Stafford's had more NFL experience, but he's never been to a Super Bowl. So, I mean, I feel they're pretty similar in that. I feel that the run game, if anything, I think Mixon and P. Ryan are maybe slightly better at the moment, purely because Akers has been out for so long. So if you look at it that way, I think the run game, I think the Bengals have got that slightly. The wide receiver core, it feels quite matched. The tight ends, they're both out injured. So again, it feels quite matched. And really, when you look on the defensive side, I think that I think it is quite similar. The only point where it all goes a little bit wrong for the Bengals is the D line of the Rams against the Bengals O line, and that's probably where it's going to be won or lost for them. But yeah, I think it's actually a relatively even matchup. I know that for the betting, they've got the Rams as 4-point favourites at the moment, which feels a little bit heavy. I think I can kind of understand why they've gone down that route, but I do think it's probably a little bit closer than that.
Yeah, I mean, I know all week a lot of my friends that obviously know that I'm really into NFL, and then they're like, "Oh, are you watching the game? Are you going to stay up? We might watch it." People who don't watch it all year, and they're like, "Oh, if we watch it, who should we support? Who's the better team?" And I'm like, I really don't know. I have to just tell everybody it's one of those games where it's are you picking with your head or your heart? I'm like, there's so much heart going towards the Bengals because of the story and the fact that they were the worst team and they've managed to turn it around and get to a Super Bowl. Or the Rams, your head, their talented roster, their organization of what the franchise has been doing over the last 3 or 4 years. It's been a real tough one. They've literally just honed it down to going, yeah, but which one's the best team? And I'm like, probably
I think
the Rams.
Yeah, it is really difficult. The one thing I would say, I think if anyone out there has a heart, any of you're going to go for the Bengals. If any of you do, it really is. I mean, the Bengals have been, they've been in the mud for decades. They really have. And now they've got Joe Burrow has come in, this little acorn, and it's slowly growing the tree now with Chase and Higgins and all that, and they're slowly getting back. And to be honest, unless you're an LA Rams fan, you shouldn't really want them to win because of that. Because the thing is that the Rams, and I mean, I've said it so many times. I know that a lot of you disagree with my thought process of them buying the league, but they are just the big fat cat that's gone out and bought in all the good players and gone, right, I'm just going to stick my big oil refinery on your forest. That's what they are. That's what they've done. And they're unapologetic about it, which is fine. If that's how they want to do it, then that's great. But if anyone has a heart, you're going to be going for the Bengals tonight.
Yeah, I think the only flip side of that is I know there's a lot of people that really want Matthew Stafford to win a Super Bowl, and Aaron Donald as well. He wasn't one of the guys that was brought in through hard trading. He's arguably been touted as one of the best players the NFL has ever seen, and he still doesn't have that ring. So I think there's a lot of people out there that are really invested in the talent of the players that would like to see them be rewarded with stuff like that.
Yeah, I do agree primarily with Stafford. I mean, Stafford's done 13 years in Detroit. I mean, God, if anyone's paid his dues for it, it's him. I mean, yeah, he certainly deserves it. And to be honest, if they go out and win it, you have to think, given the sort of stats that he's put up over his career and a Super Bowl win, you have to think that he's going to be a Hall of Famer for it. He just, you have to think that he will. I do kind of see where people are coming from with Donald as well. I mean, obviously he's, one of, if not the best defensive players out there at the moment. So, he's someone else who probably deserves it. But it's more just the way that they've gone about it. And like I say, I can understand. I think if I was a Rams fan, I'd be like, yeah, go for it, chuck as much as you like at it, sort of thing, because that's what we all do. That would make sense. But I do kind of think that it's very much like a David versus Goliath kind of story, and hopefully David will come out winning. So.
Yeah, if there's also if there's anyone out there that hasn't really dipped their toe into college football yet, or unsure of whether they want to watch it, for me, obviously being a Giants fan, a lot of our seasons previously have been sort of, we've been out of the running and not really in it early doors. So I then start looking at the people that I followed in college and watched them and invested a lot more time into going, oh, I think they'll be good in the NFL. How good with it? And you get to see them develop into the NFL like this, which is where a lot of my love for the Bengals has come this year, because I championed Joe Burrow so much when he was at LSU and I followed his story there. And it really gives you a sense to support a player, if your team isn't in it. So yeah, this is a real tough one for me.
I think I think it does make sense what you're saying, because obviously, like, me and Freddie, who's normally with us, neither of us really spend that much time watching college football because we just don't have the time, sort of thing. But the one thing I would say is that when Burrow came out and came into the NFL, the attitude was very much, oh, is it just a one-off season? Is he actually as good as what he is? Whereas I know that you were very much like, no, he is good. He's decent, because, he was at Ohio State with, Team U Sport and stuff like that. So obviously you saw a lot more of him, knew a lot more about him, whereas we didn't. So it does, you are right. It's like, if you do watch college football, you do get to see them come through and grow and stuff like that. And yeah, so you should be cheering on them Bengals tonight. So.
Yeah, well, I'm just cheering on it. Cheer on the ball. Cheer on the ref.
He's just cheering everyone on. Yeah.
That was a great thrown flag. Oh, look at the velocity. So it's again, let's talk a little bit about the coaches as well. Two young coaches, the two youngest coaches ever to go up against each other, combined age. I think 36 and 38. 30, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you think that the younger coaches are potentially the future of this NFL, seeing what they've done with their organizations?
Yeah, I mean, it feels very much that it's going that way, doesn't it? It's like it feels that there's a different style to how the NFL is being played. It's not the college style, but it's sort of veering slightly more towards the college style, where the offense is what seems to be king, and a lot of the time the defense gets sort of not forgotten, but it's just not placed as important as the offense. I think it's a shame, really, because you still see that the defense is what makes the difference a lot of the time. So yeah, I think because of that, it's a little bit of a shame it's going that way, but it's going to be more exciting. You're going to get higher scoring games. You're going to get more exciting games, and really, I suppose that's what we all want, isn't it? To be honest. So yeah, I don't really know that much about Zach Taylor, I must say, but I know that with McVay obviously coming through the Shanahan system and all that, it all kind of feels like that system is now just spreading across the NFL. I mean, you've got LaFleur, you've got Mike Daniels that's just gone to Miami. Yeah, it's just getting more and more. And although there are still coaches that are older that are going to make a difference. I mean, Andy Reid is still doing really well. Bruce Arians, Bill Belichick, obviously. So it's not like it's completely different. But yeah, I think it wouldn't surprise me, especially in about 10 years' time, that you're just completely filled through the sort of Shanahan, McVay, LaFleur kind of setup, and everyone's looking for the new thing, aren't they? Well, if you've got two young coaches that have got to the Super Bowl, that's going to be the new thing, and people are just going to keep going down that route.
Yeah, it's always been invest in people that have come from the Belichick Academy, hasn't it? And the Saban Academy and things like that from Nick Saban's era. But yeah, it definitely seems like the Shanahan era is sort of taken over. There's so many good coaches come from that Washington setup that they had. Let's dive into the game and talk a bit about the players. Which ones do you think are going to be the ones to watch?
So I think, it kind of is the obvious ones, isn't it? I mean, when it comes to the Rams, I think obviously it's going to be Stafford, Kupp, and OBJ. I think are going to be on the offense are going to be the main three that are probably going to put the points up. History has told us with McVay that if they get out to a strong lead, he goes incredibly conservative. It's going to be a lot of run game then. So if you get a Rams start, like if they end up, say, like 21-10, something like that at half time, it really wouldn't surprise me if he goes quite conservative and you see quite a lot from Cam Akers and Sony Michel. But I think the main guys to be looking at is Kupp and OBJ for the Rams. When it comes to the Bengals, I mean, Chase is going to have a bit of a tough night. He's going to have Ramsey on him all game long. He's not going to let him go. So yeah, I think he might. I wouldn't say he'll struggle, but I think he'll have a tougher night. It really opens it up for T Higgins, though. Really opens it up for him, and he's going to have a lot of space. He's got a height advantage over anybody that he's going to be up against, and yeah, I think he's the one who's going to get targeted a lot. Really like. So if you want to bet, really like T Higgins he's over 69.5 yards now at 5-6. When I first looked at it, he was over 67.5. I think he's probably going to go 80, 90 relatively easily, I think. So that bet I quite like the look of for him. And Beckham, Odell Beckham, over 63.5 yards at 5-6. I feel like I say, they're going to be focusing on Chase. They're going to be focusing on Cup. So you have to feel that them two are going to be the guys, sort of like the number twos. But I mean, they're good enough to be a number one on most teams. But yeah, I think them two are probably the wide receivers that I'm most keen to look at. The only other one is Mixon. I think Burrow's going to have to get the ball out quick, because if you've got Aaron Donald and Von Miller coming at you, you're not going to have a lot of time. So I think that ball's going to have to go out quick, and I think there'll be quite a few check downs to Mixon. So I could see Mixon doing well as well. But yeah, they're the two really that are sort of like the kind of bets that I like for players.
Yeah, I think you really you don't really notice how tall Higgins is, but when he's on the field. But like during the back end of that conference championship game, when he was just catching all the balls, he's 6'4". He just looked so much bigger than everybody else when he was running across the middle of the field. He looked like tight end size, and he proved that his hands were great. They just chucked a lot up to him, and I think seeing that in the conference championship game really sort of like lifts him for looking at him in this game a lot more than Chase. You briefly just spoke about that. In your opinion, who do you think is going to win that battle between Chase and Ramsey? Who do you think's got the edge?
I think Chase myself. The thing with Ramsey, and this is a lot of people, they put him up on a pedestal as though he's the most amazing corner in the league and stuff like that. And maybe he was. And when he was at the Jags, towards the end of the Jags, he was really, really good. I kind of feel like he's dropped off a little bit. I feel like he's a little bit easier to get past than what he used to be. He's still good. I wouldn't say he's the best in the league, but I'm a Packers fan, so therefore I'm going to go for Jair. But yeah, I think that I don't think he's quite as good as what he was. But he's still very good, obviously. But yeah, I think that Chase has the potential. And the other thing is that with Chase, if you leave him one-on-one, he'll win. Like it doesn't. I don't think it matters who it is. I think if you leave Chase one-on-one, then he'll win. I don't know how they're going to be able to cope with that. I think their attitude is going to be very much Ramsey can deal with him. And I don't know if that's going to work, because I just don't. I think Ramsey's a little bit easier to get like over the top compared to what he used to be. We kind of saw it against the Bucks, didn't we, with Mike Evans, and it wasn't that hard. It's like he just left him. Yeah, I think Chase will probably come out of it on top.
Yeah, I think when you're going to have a game that we're all projecting to be so close, the thing I like about Chase and what you've seen from him is he goes hard every route that he runs. And even when they show you, like if the ball's gone to the other side and they show you what Chase did on the other side, he's making guys fall over, he's beating them, it's things like that. It only takes, in a game like this, it only takes him to beat him once, and he'll beat him big, won't he? And that can be the difference maker. We've seen the routes that he runs, and people are getting tied in knots and falling over. I know Ramsey's experienced, but the speed of that guy, it's just, one time. Let's talk about another little matchup that's going to be interesting. How many of that O-line would you use to block Aaron Donald?
Yeah, it's I mean, they're gonna have to double team him. They're gonna have to, and even then, I don't know if it's gonna be enough.
Do you think they put 3 on him?
I don't know if they'll put 3 on him. I think they're definitely going to have to put 2 on him. It wouldn't surprise me if maybe they brought in some tight ends to kind of help block. They might do that as well. That might be a way forward for them. But yeah, it's going to be very difficult. And of course, the other thing is not only is it going to be difficult being able to almost stop him, you've got Von Miller on the other side. And I think what you might find is that because they concentrate so much on Donald, that Von Miller gets not left, but almost like there's just going to be one guy on Von Miller, and that's going to be difficult to stop as well. The only thing I would say is that I don't know if it matters, to be honest, that much. I mean, we saw against the Titans that Burrow got sacked 9 times and still managed to win. I know the Titans played bad. I know they didn't put up a lot of points, but you might find that even if he does get sacked, he'll just get up again and give it another go. The only problem is going to be if he ends up picking up an injury from it. But yeah, I think that you'll probably find that they will double team Donald and just hope that the guy on the other side can stop Von Miller as well. But you know, I mean, you've got people like Leonard Floyd as well. It's not like it's just them two. I mean, you've got there's loads of them. And I think it'll be really interesting to see what happens. And I think it'll be quite interesting to see what happens with the other O-line and D-line as well, because the O-line of the Rams is probably their weakest point. So I think when it comes to people like Hendrickson, you know, he's been getting plenty of sacks this year as well. So I think that'll be the most exciting matchups to see how the two lines do. And like I said, that's probably where it'll be won and lost.
Now we moving away from some of the big stars that are in these teams and looking at maybe some of the names people might not recognize. You mentioned that the two tight ends are out, and if we look at the Rams, they brought in Kendall Blanton to play at tight end. He had a real nice game. He caught 5 catches for 57 yards, so averaging 11 yards a catch. Do you think he's going to have an impact of how big Higbee was for them?
Yeah, I think he showed, didn't he, in the championship game that he can move the chains. I think that McVay will probably stick with him because of that. There was the other guy, the one you like, what's his name? Skowronek?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not a tight end, he's a wide receiver, but he's a big
guy.
Yeah.
So I think what was quite noticeable was that he had that chance in the end zone, and it just I think it was, I don't know, he kind of got his fingers to it, so it was a little bit, it wasn't 100% perfect, but he just missed it, and he barely played after that. You know, and then like you say, Blanton came in, and it just kind of felt like he was, because he was catching the ball, he was doing these little short 10-12 yard catches. All of a sudden, McVay went, yeah, you're the guy, you're the one who can replace Higbee, and we'll just stick to it. I think he'll do okay, but I don't think he'll do amazing. I think he's going to be one of them sort of just keep it going, keep the ball moving, and I think you'll see quite a bit of him.
Yeah, you just mentioned Skowronek there. I've watched a lot of the Rams because they are exciting to watch. And I noticed that I was heavily invested in watching OBJ, obviously being from the Giants and seeing what he did. I had quite a lot of bets on him as well because his odds are usually quite good in game. And I noticed he was on a bit of a snap count. I noticed they were taking him out a lot. I noticed when they got to sort of the 20-yard line, he wasn't in there. And I was a little bit like, oh, what's going on here? And this name kept cropping up. It was Skowronek every single time. And he was always in there. And I kept seeing him line up and they target him. And towards the back end of the year, they did use him quite a bit. And I think you'll find if you had a little look, he caught the ball quite a bit and they did go to him. So he's one up with Higbee being out. I think he's going to be in the line a lot more just because of the fact he's 6'4". He's a big guy. So I think they'll use him in sort of those tight end situations. And he's got the pace to burst up the field if no one's really has taken any note on him. He's from Notre Dame, so he's from a good team. So I'm putting a 5 on him. He's 40. I'm probably ruining your bets. He's 14-1 anytime. He's 66-1 for first touchdown. It's got to be worth a fiver.
I think he's one of them where when you look at the lines, they have him on receptions. They literally have him as over under 0.5. So I think everyone kind of feels that he might get one play. This is the problem. So it depends, doesn't it? I mean, the thing is, he does seem to have some speed about him as well. So it depends. I mean, the play that like I say, that he just missed out on in the championship game, that's the kind of play you would expect Van Jefferson to be there.
He's tailed off a bit over the last few weeks, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has a little bit, but I think because of that, I would expect Van Jefferson to be out there a bit more. I'd expect Beckham to not be on account at all. I'd expect him to be out there a lot more as well. It's the last game of the season for him, isn't it? It's the biggest game that they're ever going to play. So I imagine that they'll be out there for as much as they possibly can be. Yeah, I don't. I just don't envisage him being out there much, to be honest. But I think if he is out there is a chance that, there's always a chance that it could happen. But I think it's going to take a blown coverage or something like that. And I don't think that the Bengals, their secondary, I don't know if they'll let him go. I just the way that they push so many players back and they don't really rush with that many. I think it's going to be a difficult one for him to get free. But he's a massive price. So he's, even, do you say 14-1 anytime?
14-1 anytime, 66-1 first touchdown.
Yeah, so I think the anytime one, it might be worth a punt on. Don't know about the first touchdown. Can't imagine he'd be out there that early. But
yeah. And then on the flip side of things, with the Bengals, we saw Drew Sample. We've seen him a lot throughout the year. He's one of the bigger names for them. He hasn't really done a lot lately, and he didn't really step up to what Uzomah usually produces. How do you feel that's going to affect this Bengals team?
Yeah, I don't. It's a shame that Uzomah's not out there. I mean, he's been what Higbee's been for the is they've been very similar with their seasons. It's a shame he's not out there. I think that's going to be a little bit of a disadvantage. But I mean, Sample's not the worst in the world, but I think it's probably not as convenient for the Bengals as what it would have been with Uzomah being there, but they've got more than enough talent on that offense to keep it going.
There's a name on that Cincinnati Bengals team. Another one, funny enough, I followed him in college. I don't know whether you knew that he's on their team. They've got Thaddeus Moss, obviously the connections to Randy Moss. He was good for LSU in the championship year in 2019. There was a bit of buzz about him coming into the draft, but he had a nasty injury. He was on the waivers. The Bengals picked him up at the start of the year because of the Joe Burrow connection, and we haven't seen. I think he's got called up to the active roster once. I mean, what a fairy tale that'd be if he got to play in this game.
Well, it wouldn't. I mean, maybe not necessarily him, but it wouldn't surprise me if you do get. I mean, this is the thing. We always look at it and we always focus on. So for this game, you focus on Chase and Higgins and Kupp and Beckham. But the fact of the matter is, it wouldn't surprise me if an O-lineman came in and got a touchdown or something just a bit crazy like that. I mean, it does happen. So someone like him who's not been used at all, someone like P. Ryan, I mean, he went and got a touchdown in the championship game. It's not like it's a guy who's kind of been used a little bit, but not really. I mean, it's been predominantly Mixon. So, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if someone like Moss walks in and, even if he doesn't get a touchdown but has some form of contribution to it, it's you always get. I mean, this is like emptying the playbook now, isn't it? This is like literally anything you can think of that no one's seen before. So yeah, you could get weird things like that happen. But yeah, it would be quite a story if he did.
I don't even know whether he's been called up to the active roster. I know he's on the practice squad, but I think he's got called up to the active roster maybe twice this season. So I don't know whether he's still struggling with injuries, but he's got that connection with Burrow straight off the bat if he did come in. I mean, I'd definitely be pushing for it. What else have you got for it? Let's talk about one more thing before we move on to some of the bets you've got. There's one other name that I feel we should talk about and see how well he'll have this game. Eli Apple.
Oh God,
He's going to get toasted.
Yeah, Eli Apple. I don't know. There's something. I mean, bless him, he tries. It's amazing that he's in a Super Bowl. To be honest, it's just amazing that he's there. It really is. I know you know a lot more about him, what with him being at the Giants for a couple of years, but
and Ohio State.
And Ohio State. Yeah, he is the sort of player that is incredibly frustrating. At times, he can be really, really good, like really good. And then he'll just throw in an absolute clanger every now and then. And I don't know how it must just be so frustrating for Bengals fans at the moment with him there. He had that interception and it's just straight through his hands. So it's right there. It's unbelievable. It wasn't even necessarily coming at him quickly. That's the other thing. So yeah, just a really frustrating player. I don't know who he's going to have, but whoever he's going to end up having, I can't imagine it's Cup, surely. But even if it's Beckham or Van Jefferson, he's going to struggle with that, I think. And it's a shame because I actually think the Bengals secondary, aside from Eli Apple, has played really, really well this season, and in a way is actually better than the Rams secondary. Arguably, I think they've done really well, and yeah, it's a real shame that that Apple's there. They haven't got someone a little bit more consistent. But I know you're a fan, so
Well, I liked him when we drafted him. I was excited about him. He spent a bit of time at the Saints as well, and nearly got to a Super Bowl with them. But yeah, he's not been great. We nearly called the interception though, didn't we? In the group chat. So it was nearly a great call in the group. But what else have you got for us, Adam? What other bets are out there for us that we can look at for this game?
So if you want to kind of look at just the sort of the game ones, one thing that, and I didn't know anything about this was something that I went on the Full 10 Yards podcast just on Friday night. This is something that I had no idea about. I think it was Callum on there who came out with it, and he got it via Pat McAfee. So opening kickoff to be a touchback, no, is 8-11. So apparently it's a brand new ball. It literally gets used just for the kick, and then it gets taken away, put in a like a box or whatever, and saved and stuff like that. So the ball's incredibly heavy. So it's almost, according to what I was told and what Pat McAfee was saying and stuff like that, apparently it's almost impossible to kick it all the way through. So at 8-11, it's a very short price, but there's that. The one thing that I did like the look of was I said about Beckham and T. Higgins. I think both of them are on the overs for their yards are good. I like the Bengals to win this. So +4 means you get the field goal. Just think, if they don't, then the field goal advantage of +4 at 10-11, I think, is a good bet. If you're looking for something a little bit bigger, I really like Mike Hilton interception. What I like about it is, like I said earlier, I think that the Bengals are going to have a lot of defenders back in the secondary. I think Hilton has had a great season for them. I know Freddie's really happy about that as he came from the Steelers. But I think he's had a great season for him. 13-2 for him to get an interception. Stafford, I mean, we all know what Stafford's like. Where if he gets too much time on his hands and he wants to try and throw a ball about 40-50 yards, it normally doesn't end well. So I think that's a slightly bigger one. Another one that is a little bit bigger. That I was a bit surprised it's actually as big as what it is, because it fits the whole season. LA Rams halftime, Cincinnati Bengals full time. That has kind of been how it's gone in all the games. The Rams have taken big leads. The Bengals have always come back and won games 8-1. So that's a really surprising one to me. Another one, team to win and each team to score 15 plus points. I think there'll be points in this. So the Bengals are 5-2 if you fancy the Bengals to win that one. So that's not a bad shout. One other thing I would say, Super Bowl MVP. A lot of people are going Burrow and Stafford for obvious reasons. It normally goes to a quarterback. If it does, I know this is kind of a bit of a gamble on the gamble kind of thing. If the Rams are in the lead, you can normally get this market in play. In which Burrow's 2-1 at the moment, his price will go out at halftime if they're losing. And you have to think that if they come back, who's going to be the reason that they come back? You have to think it's going to be Burrow. So therefore, that would be a pretty good shout, I think. Other than that, do you want the long shots as well?
Oh, yes.
He wants the long shots. Okay.
Shot.
So basically, my theory of long shots is that they've got to be over 10-1, because I know what I'm dealing with here with you. So Aaron Donald to over 2.5 sacks, 11-1. Aaron Donald 3+ sacks, 18-1. Now, maybe 3+ sacks might be pushing it a bit, and he is going to be double teamed, but he could get 3 sacks on him at 11-1, I think, is a good one. The only other one, 40-1. Rams halftime, Bengals full time, Chase and Cup to score a touchdown, and then Burrow MVP is 40-1. Like I said, if the Bengals come back, you have to think that Burrow is going to get MVP for it. Chase and Cup to get touchdowns. I mean, we've spoken already. I can't, I think Chase will probably, if they get a play where Chase can burn past Ramsey, I think that's a given. And Cup a touchdown. Cup always seems to get a touchdown. So yeah, they're the kind of 2 long shots that I sort of saw. I kind of like the Aaron Donald one. I think 11-1 for 3 sacks, I think is doable for him. But yeah, I mean, they're the bets on the actual game. And then, do you want the novelty? We've all got a bit of novelty betting to go on here.
Yeah, surely the colour of the Gatorade. That's got to be one. You got to put that in with a coin toss.
So I was having a look, and the Gatorade one is definitely one. I think if you like the Bengals, and I can't remember who it was. This was another thing I got told. That one of the players apparently came out and said that the Gatorade is always orange on the Bengals side because they're the Bengals. Yeah. So if you fancy the Bengals to win, orange it'll be. So that's 5-2 for that. The Rams have got the toss. They normally go tails because tails never fails. So you go for the tails at 10-11. That's another one that's worth doing. And then after that, I've actually got some for the halftime show. If you're interested in the halftime show at all, then there's some bets to be having on that. So Eminem to wear a hat when first seen at halftime, it's 5-4. I think that's probably a good shout. The other one, which is actually a new one, I've only just seen it, is Mary J. Blige to be wearing hoop earrings when first seen at halftime, and Eminem to be wearing a hat at 7-4. It's gonna happen. So that's 7-4. That's worth it. The one thing I did like the look of when it comes to the halftime show, though, is I don't know if he would go down this route. Snoop Dogg to be wearing a Pittsburgh Steelers shirt. I doubt it will happen, but you never know. It would be be quite funny.
What odds have we got on Eminem wearing a Detroit jersey?
So that's 13-2.
that, you know, might have Stafford on the back of it.
Yeah, you never know. He might do. I mean, they could go down that route. I can't imagine them doing it. But he's normally wearing a hat, isn't he, Eminem? Yeah. So I think him wearing a hat, and I mean, I just love the fact that I was just looking at it last night, and the fact that Mary J. Blige to wear hoop earrings is a bet. It's it's 1-4 on, but if you put it in with the double with Eminem and his hat, then you're at 7-4. So, you know, yeah. But all of this is on Sky Bet as well, just so you know, because they do a lot more of these novelty bets than what some of the others do. So yeah, I think they're kind of the ones that are a bit of just a bit of fun and worth a go. But yeah, I do like the Gatorade one. Orange, because I just think that they're gonna, if the Bengals win it, it's gonna be orange. So it's worth a punt on that.
It's almost like betting on me to turn up to do a podcast with a cap on, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a little bit. It is a little bit. Yeah, it's a dead cert.
When you talk about the MVPs for candidates, that's always a nice one to bet on. I know in previous years when the lads have been round, we've all had a bet on something that's not going to be a quarterback. Matt Kirk, one of my mates, was adamant Edelman was going to win it the year that he won it, and obviously got a 5 off of me as well because I was like, not going to happen. So we have seen other people win it. We've also got a previous MVP winner in there in Von Miller. So there is a chance it could go to a defender if someone turns up, sacks, fumbles, picks it up, touchdowns. He's 40-1. And Aaron Donald's 14-1. So I wouldn't rule out maybe a defender getting it.
Yeah, I mean, look, the obvious ones are Stafford and Burrow. Like I said, I think if they're down, if the Bengals are down at halftime, then Burrow is going to go out in the betting. So, like I say, it is a gamble on a gamble kind of thing. But I do think that there is a strong chance that will happen because it's happened all season. So I think there's a strong chance it happens, in which case I would suggest waiting on Burrow a little bit. And maybe doing that in play. Yeah, I do agree with you when it comes to the defense. If it is, it's going to be Donald or Miller. But the only thing with that is I feel it's going to have to be quite a low-scoring game in order for a defender to get it.
Or they get scores.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I suppose if they were to get like an insane amount of sacks and it was like a sort of like not a big high scoring game, then maybe it would go that way. But yeah, I mean, Donald's 12-1. Von Miller is 33-1 now. I think you kind of feel like if they're going to double team Donald, that Miller wouldn't be the worst bet in the world at 33-1. So I think that's definitely worth looking at. I'm not sure if it's going to go to a wide receiver this year. Unless they get like 3 touchdowns or something like that. I don't know. I feel like it could go to Cup, but I feel like there's more chance of it going to Stafford than Cup. And I think there's more chance of it going to Burrow than either of the two. Especially with the Bengals, I don't think there's going to be enough of them to put up enough yards and touchdowns in order to get it, because it's going to be spread about too much. Possibly Cup, but I think there's a little bit of nostalgia, isn't there, to this when they award this as well. So I think they would be a little bit like, you know, he's had a long career, he's had a pretty rough time of it, and he's come over, won the Super Bowl. Oh, we'll give him MVP as well. So I get the feeling it's more chance of it going to Stafford than Cup, even, and unless, like I say, if Cup puts up like 3-4 touchdowns and 150 yards, then it's going to be difficult not to give it to him. But yeah, I don't know. I think you need something like that. So I know it's a bit boring, but I think it'll probably be a quarterback. But yeah, I think if you want one at a big price, then Von Miller.
Yeah, like I said, he's won it before, so it's always a good chance he could get it again. Well, that's all we've got time for. You are supporting the Bengals. I am sitting on the fence.
Come on, the Bengals.
So, yeah, this is our last preview show of the year. Such a sad time. We've got loads coming in the off season. Adam's got a few special things lined up. I've got some college stuff lined up. So don't just abandon us after this episode. We will have stuff coming out for you guys to get involved in and have a look at. Competition's still running till kickoff if we've got that going, haven't we? So
yeah, the competition's still running. It finishes at kickoff, so get involved in that. All you got to do is go to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and let us know who you think is going to win tonight. It's on the Marcus Grant video, so the last one that came out before this one. So yeah, that's what it's on, and yeah, it's all over Twitter. And it's on our Instagram page as well. So yeah, check it out, and you can win yourself some NFL goodies for to finish the season off.
Yeah. Enjoy the game. Enjoy your parties. Hope Monday at work isn't too bad for you all. But till next time, thank you and